Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to another card video. Since last week's video was kind of simple, I did something a little more complicated, but it wasn't too bad. Just kind of a lot of steps. The first thing I did was I cut one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper into two parts, just lengthwise, and then I cut a bunch of clouds using a Fisker Clouds punch out of some Eclipse masking tape, and I applied it to the top of the card. And I used a foam applicator and some distress ink to create the blue sky. And I'm using my foam applicator first because I want to get some even coverage at the top, and then I'm going to go back and take my finger sponge dauber and I'm going to do the lower part of the sky just because I want it to be a little bit broken up, a little lighter and not so uniform. Now I'm going to peel these off and I'm going to reapply them to the other sheet, but I'm only going to do half of the sheet. Now I'm going to score it, and the reason why I didn't score it before I did the inking is because then the score line would get all dark and I didn't want that to happen. So I'm going to score both of them down the middle, and then I'm going to adhere one side to the other, one full side. And that way I have the three different panels, but it's the same size as a normal A2 card. Okay, now I'm going to start with my sign, and I'm going to take this Pennant Parade stamp set, and I'm going to use several different colors, and I'm going to create several pieces of each. I'm just going to show you one, so I'm going to stamp it and then I'm going to punch it out using my matching Pennant Builder punch. Now I'm going to fast forward to where I have all the different pieces created. Alright, so now I'm going to assemble them in a pattern. I'm going to put the small piece on top of the big piece, and I'm going to get my letters out and stamp my message, and then I'm going to glue the top to the bottom on all these different pennants. For my next step, I'm going to take my handheld 1/16 hole punch. I'm going to punch a hole in each corner, the top two corners. And then I'm going to take some early espresso baker's twine and I'm going to thread it up and down all the different pennants. Now I've got my whole message created. Now I'm going to start working on the base again. So this is the Owl Together Now stamp set, and I'm just using my Stamp-A-Majig to put some branches on each corner. And I'm going to color them in with Wild Wasabi marker on the leaves, and then Early Espresso. Rather than using the marker, I used a blender pen, and that softens it up a little bit. I didn't want something too dark on the branch. So this sign is going to hang from one branch of the tree to the other, and I'm going to use Stampin' Up! Dimensionals to adhere them to the card so they pop up a little bit. Now I'm sure, as you can imagine, I did a lot of rearranging just because it has to be perfect for me. So when I got that all done, I took a mini glue dot and I put it on the branch, and then I put my string on the glue dot to keep it still. Then I tied a bow, and there was enough of the glue dot stickiness to hold the bow on top, so I just trimmed the edges right there after I get done fixing it, and then I just stuck it right there on top of the glue dot. And I did the same thing to the other side. Alright, next I'm using some rich cocoa memento ink, and I'm stamping my furry folk friends, one on each panel. And I decided to wait on that because I use the My Favorite Things Dynamics. It's a stamp set with two dies in it, and I'm going to cut that speech bubble. You can't really see it very well there, but I just wanted to make sure that I placed the mouse so that you could still see the speech bubble. Okay, now since these dies are not hollow and you can't see through them, you have to stamp it after you cut it out, which is kind of hard to do. It's a little tricky, and so I didn't really like it that much, to be honest. I like the dies that are that you can see through and it's just an outline. Okay, so now I'm using some Copic markers to color this in, and I went ahead and showed how I colored all three of these animals, so if you want to fast forward, go ahead. So this is the all-over light color, then I went in with some dark, and notice I have a little neckline there, and it kind of emphasizes that he has a head, and it gives him a little perspective. With my medium color, I usually use that to go around the side where the light is coming from, in this case on the right-hand side. Now I'm going back with my all over light color and just a little bit more dark and a little shadow for his arm there. And what I do for all these animals, see that colorless blender right there that I'm doing, is I just do a bunch of circles on the face to lighten it up a little bit, and that kind of makes it look like it's more coming forward toward you. Because this guy has a big tail, I went ahead and added a little bit of a darker shadow along the edge so it'll stand out a little bit more. Alright, now I'm working on my bunny. All over light color first. If you want to get a list of the color numbers that I used, you can go to my blog. And I'm using the W sequence for the bunny here. So I'm going back with my darker, my shading area, and creating his little head dimension. And this is the medium. And I go up the side with the medium, and then go back in with the light. And here, well, not yet. Here's my arm shadow. And now I'm going to go in with a colorless blender to color in his face and kind of separate the dark colors out. And finally my mouse with the same technique. Okay, then I went back in with C1, which is a cool gray color, and created just a little bit of a shadow on each animal. And then I took just one shade of green and created just a little patch of grass under each animal. Now I'm going to adhere my speech bubble, and that's it. It's not too complicated, just a little time consuming. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.